Hello there, it is another Tuesday. Well, technically it's the same Tuesday for me, but this one was recorded in advance. I've changed things around. Actually, I changed around my lighting and camera angle. I don't know why, it just possessed me. Although this in real life video, this Tuesday's in real life video, is being recorded immediately following the last one. I've changed around sort of the lighting and camera angle. I think the camera angle is way better, right? It's less angled, like tilted, if that makes any sense. Or maybe it was tilted this way, toward me. Tilted one direction or the other. But I think I like this a lot more. Maybe it'd be better if I were like up higher a bit, to be like my eyesight is more aligned with the camera itself. Oh, but also I'm getting away from the microphone here. But regardless, I like this a lot more. However, I did screw around with the lighting. It's a lot more dark, especially on like this side, right? I don't know. Something to continually work on. And probably this is actually a really bad time for me to be working on it, truth be told. But nonetheless, that is neither here nor there. Man, yeah, look at the color of this tie. This is actually navy, same as this hat. Yeah. See? Look at that. This is a knit navy tie. And yeah. What really possessed me to mess around with this was on my shirt. This shirt has like a fun stripe on it with multicolors. It's got like red, like a cyan, navy, and yellow on it. And it really doesn't all come through because it kind of gets blown out. Right? You can't really see it too well. So, yeah, obviously not ideal situation, like, you know, this side of me. Can't even tell I'm wearing brown, can you? Right? Can't even tell. And anyway, sorry. Absolutely getting way too ahead of myself here. This week, we're taking yet another gentle viewer submitted question from a gentle viewer just like you. The person who submitted a question that we're using for this week, their username should be somewhere in the bottom third of the screen right about now. And they ask, what vehicle or transport would you like to see on a future Bethesda game? Quite the fair question, right? Considering these are very sandboxy, systems-driven sorts of role-playing games. As well, just recently, Starfield just recently had, well, I say recently, but it's been about a month now, came out with a second vehicle. Of course, the first being spaceships. They got spaceships in there. But they also have land vehicles now. So, for the next game, which we all assume will be Elder Scrolls 6, and they've said as much, I would love to see some sort of ship. Right? I think this is sort of a common remark in the community. This isn't anything original, but I would love to see a nautical ship, especially if there is, if the landmass is particularly conducive to such a thing. Of course, if it's anything, if it were Skyrim, obviously it wouldn't be very well suited to having a sailing ship of any kind, because Skyrim is surrounded by land everywhere except for the northern coast, right? And none of those rivers are necessarily well suited for sailing ships down. Don't let Windhelm fool you, and don't let Cyrodiil fool you, wherein they had enormous sailing ships going down rivers in Oblivion that definitely would be scraping the bottom of those riverbeds. But nonetheless, if it works with it, if they decide to build out the world in such a way, like for instance, if we went to the Somerset Isles, or we were like, sort of in the area of Daggerfall in High Rock, or I've heard people say, if we're around like Hammerfell, there are parts of Hammerfell as well where you could like sort of connect around. There'd be like a gulf area. You could work in peninsulas and stuff like that. And that would work decently enough with, a sailing ship, especially if, for some reason, maybe there is a bunch of landmass or something cropping up in the water. You could have that as well. It doesn't have to be anything pre-established. It could be whatever the current problem of the day is, the current crisis is in Elder Scrolls 6, could be leading to new stuff appearing in the water that you have to deal with. But yeah, that's something that I would really like to see. In addition to that, I would love to see, I wouldn't call them a vehicle so much, but I would love to see sort of horses fleshed out more, as it were. The horse system, I think you could do so much with it. Not unlike sort of going to another game that they've done. Fallout 4's power armor, right? It feels like a vehicle. Power armor in Fallout 4 is amazing, right? I would love to see mounts in Elder Scrolls 6 sort of get a similar, not identical, but a similar treatment to what you get with power armor in Fallout 4, right? And 76, right? Power armor in those games, it feels amazing. It is regularly regarded as like one of the best things that they changed from previous entries going forward. It feels like what people thought it should feel like, you know, even if you only ever played the CRPGs, it feels very weighty, right? If you were transferring or translating the CRPGs into this sort of, you know, first-person sandbox role-playing game that the Bethesda games are, you would expect the power armor to feel like you're walking around in a tank. Everybody always says that. Oh, it feels like I'm walking around in a tank or whatever. It feels like a vehicle rather than just an outfit. I think that's fantastic. I would love it if they could somehow, I don't know, get a horse, or not even a horse. You could have horses, but you could have other mounts. Imagine you have like, you know, just take all the various mounts and stuff from ESO, right? Obviously, you don't have to take all of them, but generally, like the big class of them, right? You get like guars, you get insectoid ones, stuff like that. Various. Do they have giant cats you can ride around? I don't know. I'm not sure. That might be a little messed up, all things considered, right? You might not be bears. I'm pretty sure bears or something. But all that stuff, fantastic, ripe for the picking, I think. I would love to see that. Now, speaking of Fallout, going even forward, further forward, I should say, by 5 years, give or take, after the launch of Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, I would love to see the return of a drivable car, right? For those who have not played the CRPGs, Fallout 2 features I always forget the name of it, the outlaw, the lawbreaker, the outrider, the lawman, something like that. Something along those lines. I always forget the name of it. But there is a car that you can drive around as part of Fallout 2, and you have like a small system involved in like finding it, getting it fixed up. You have to keep it powered up, right? Yeah, you can use energy weapon ammunition to power it up. It's very neat. It's very cool. I would love to see, right, potentially a bigger map, right? You could do this with having a car. You could make it feel not unlike that sort of sleeper hit Mad Max game made by Avalanche, I think it was. The same folks who did Just Cause. I think it was another one of their studios, or their prime studio. I don't know. But regardless, you could totally have it be to where, like, there are some parts of the game where settlements are a lot more spread out, right? Sure, have parts where it's like very walkable, where it's sort of like the Fallout experience that you would expect having played Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4, and 76, right? But then have other parts where, like, it's a lot more, I don't know, disparate. There's a lot more distance between every single point of interest or whatever, right? You kind of are going across like a barren wasteland. Maybe you encounter, you know, not unlike Fallout 2. Sometimes you're driving along and you just find, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of cows or something, right? You find a giant video game system. There's a giant button or whatever, right? Stuff like that you could encounter out there randomly. It doesn't have to be like a fixed thing, but just like a random encounter or something like that. I would love to see stuff like that. I would love to see cars sort of come back into Fallout. Or, barring that, if they really don't want to sort of expand the map size, vertibirds, right? Vertibirds totally exist in Fallout 4, and depending on like what route you go with in the main quest of Fallout 4, you have vertibird access by the end of it, right? By the end of the main story, you can totally use a vertibird grenade, call one down, and use it as a form of travel. You don't get to fly it directly yourself, but maybe in the future in Fallout 5, you could. And I think that would be amazing. I would love to as well. Similarly, if we are flying these things, I'd love to be able to outfit them. Being able to just outfit these things across the board, not just in Fallout, with a potential car, a potential add more onto the power armor system, have a vertibird that you can customize. Go into Fallout, make it to where you can customize your horse, not unlike Red Dead Redemption 2, have it to where horses function differently, have it to where there's more than just horses, right? You can go far beyond horses. Like I said, have Guar, have Nyx hounds, stuff like that you can ride along, a little miniaturized Silt Strider or whatever. Like I said, just take some of the stuff that's in ESO and put it in there. You could even make it like, you get these with an expansion, or whatever Creation Club, the stuff that they want to do. If someone really wants like a Guar mount, I am 100% sure that someone is me, would probably want to get that. But absolutely, there's so much opportunity for that. Build off of Starfield, sort of starship, I don't know, garage system, the system in Starfield where you can like build up your own starship and sort of add on to parts of it and all of that, right? There's so much opportunity with it. Obviously, you would have a bit more freedom with a starship being in space, right? When you're considering a car, there's only so much you can do. When you're considering a horse or similar mount, steed, there's only so much you can do. But would absolutely love to see a more restricted version of the Starfield Starship Builder. Something along those lines, which I guess if you want to say as much, you could say that Fallout 4 and 76's power armor is a bit more of a restricted version of that Starfield Starship Builder, right? But that's often regarded as one of people's favorite parts of Starfield, is being able to build your own starship. It's super cool. You get to run around inside of it. You get to see how it works. It's great, right? I would love to see that in more places. But yeah, those are pretty much all those things that I would love to see in those games. Of course, if you really wanted to, for Elder Scrolls, guess what existed in Elder Scrolls? Airships, right? We could just, you know what? Why limit it to Starfield? Get airships back in Elder Scrolls. Have it to where you're flying around some sort of Dwemer airship. There have been others that have been made, like in Morrowind. There's a guy, part of one of the expansions, sort of recreates a Dwemer airship. It doesn't go too well, but absolutely happens. And I believe in Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, you also come into contact with a flying airship as well. And of course, in Fallout, what if you get the Pridwin, What if you get that and you just start throwing stuff onto it? What if you get another version of whatever you would call the Pridwin? I'm not sure what classification of vehicle that is. Some sort of like Fallout Zeppelin, right? You could have that, and thus you probably wouldn't need as many restrictions for those. But would love to see stuff like that. You could even add in like another management level, with sort of a sailing ship. You would have to manage your crew, manage your people on your airship in whatever way, right? If they wanted to go that route, right? I think maybe airship that you control in Elder Scrolls is probably overkill unless they really want to go all in on an Elder Scrolls game, and it probably won't be 6. But if they decide to go all in on an Elder Scrolls game and make it to where it's like, oh, you have an airship and you have access to pretty much all of Tamriel, right, in this one game. I don't think they're going to do that with Elder Scrolls 6, but someday maybe they will. And if they did do that, perfect opportunity, right? But hey, for Fallout, maybe something to consider. It doesn't even have to be an airship that travels around, right? We've seen it's pretty slow. You can have a vertibird come off of it, right? It's just your base of operations. But yeah, ripe for opportunity. Those are the things I would love to see. I think it would be a darn shame if the only sort of vehicle stuff was limited to Starfield, considering, I don't know, the other intellectual property has plenty of opportunity, right? Horses, cars, and beyond. Anyway, that ought to do it for this week. Until next time, please take care of each other.